Mouse clicks are the other super simple type of interaction that we can detect with, a few lines of code. In order to do so, we have to introduce a new element, which is a conditional. So this is what you take a second to copy this example in your sketch. It should be linked below, but this is what it does basically. It allows you to draw some translucent, semi-transparent circles only when you're pressing the mouse down. So it's a bit of a very primitive brush. What is happening here? First, in the setup function, I do a little bit more than just creating the canvas. I create the canvas, 500 pixels, can be anything you want. I set the no stroke. I don't really like the circles with the outline. I want to have a more painterly effect, I guess. And then I change my fill color. The fill color is the pink, the darker pink you are seeing. It has an alpha value, meaning that I'm not just drawing, I'm not drawing it at full opacity. I'm drawing it at about like half, well, 1/3 of the opacity, I guess, like somewhere like 30%, more or less. Remember that the maximum is 255 by default. So I'm drawing a translucent circle. If I go faster, there will be less overlapping circle in the same space, and so it will look like more sparse, but also less, I guess, less opaque as a mark. Anyway, and then I draw the background, the very bright pink here, with some numbers like e-color that I picked with a color picker. On the draw function, I have this new structure here, which is an if statement. It's a conditional. The if statement is it's illustrated here in the cheat sheet. You probably have seen these flowcharts. You're doing a test, you're checking if a condition is true, and if it's true, you do something, and if it's false, so you just continue the program as as usual. So that's how it works in P5 and many programming languages. We are getting into conditionals a little bit in the future, but for now, just look at this very, very simple one. Mouse express is basically a Boolean variable. It's a variable that is either true or false, and it's true when the mouse is pressed. The left mouse button is being pressed. So the draw function keeps happening over and over very fast. And I'm doing what I was doing before. I'm drawing an ellipse at the mouse and X position, but only when the mouse is pressed. So when the mouse is pressed here, if this condition is true, you will get into this block of code that is delimited by curly brackets. And everything that happens here will be executed only if this condition is true. That's why when I'm just like hovering on this on my canvas without pressing the mouse button, nothing really happens, because everything is conditioned to that. The moment I press and hold, I start drawing things. Yeah. So the fill value here, that is what I guess, yeah, this is the similar to the fill value up there. It doesn't actually need to be here all the time. I just put it there just to for the following example, but you don't have to change the fill every time you draw something. If I just change it here, it will be set. Imagine like picking up a marker, and that marker is in your hand, and then you're just drawing an ellipse. You're drawing a circle here and there. The if statement has another possibility, another structure, which is the if else. So normally the if is just conditioned to whatever is happening here. So if all the instructions that are happening down here will happen regardless of the condition of this if. So if I have let's do just like another ellipse, because I'm not particularly imaginative today. Mouse Y. Let's have like a smaller ellipse, and let's have it. Let's just change the fill color, so we justify that fill there. So I'm just creating a small. Let's just create like a completely black ellipse. So right now I'm creating that, and then when I press the button, I create a pink ellipse in addition to the black one. So the one condition, like not one condition, one part of the code, this part here that it's not conditioned to anything, happens regardless of my mouse situation. The other one is conditioned to the mouse situation. But there is another type of structure that we can use, which is the else. The else is basically the what happens when you go to the false branch of this execution. In this case, the false branch in this little system, little diagram, is just taking you to the statements beyond that particular block, but you can have some statements in this branch here too. So you're just having like a branching structure. If something happens, do this, otherwise you do that. And that's the result. We're gonna have like my black smaller circle or the pink circle here. That's because my mouse can only be pressed or unpressed, or this condition can be either true or false. And so when it's true, you execute that, and when it's false, you execute that. That's pretty much it. You can. In this case, we could even do something like this. For example, if I, this should show you the different, oh wait, let's change this color to, I don't know, like a random color. Hopefully it's distinguishable. Yeah, sort of. It's a bit too bright, so I'm gonna reduce this one here. See? Yeah, okay. So here what I'm doing, saying more or less the same thing. If the mouse is pressed, I'm changing the fill to this original pink. Otherwise, if it's not pressed, I'm changing the color to this other like pastel color, which is more of a bluish cyan. And regardless of the fill, I'm going to draw an ellipse. So here you have the sort of like the three possibility: mouse is pressed, the mouse is not pressed, and the rest of the program, because not everything has to be conditioned to one particular condition. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There is another way though. There is another kind of mouse event here that you're gonna see in the third example down below, which is this one here. Mouse pressed and mouse released. So if I'm just checking the state of the mouse, if I'm just checking this particular state every frame, I'm checking more like I would say like a state. But there's also sometimes you just want to check when a mouse has been pressed, and just like for that one instant, not just continuously. And P5 provides you with a couple of useful functions that are mouse pressed and mouse released. So the mouse press and mouse released are function exactly like the function setup and function draw, except that instead of being given to you when you're creating a new sketch, you have to sort of type them, or you can just copy and paste this block of code. But the syntax is the same. Function that means that, okay, the next thing is going to be a function. You're defining a function called mouse press. It has no parameters, so it has this open close parenthesis, and then you open and close a curly bracket. You can even just use one of the two. You don't have to use both of them. So the mouse pressed is a function that is called automatically when you are pressing the mouse, and only once, not just continuously. So here I'm introducing a new function here, which is print. Print allows you to send a message to the console. This is just for debugging purposes, and it's kind of like your best friends when you're debugging things. And I'm going to use it a lot in the following examples in the following weeks. So what happens here in the sketch is that I'm drawing a circle only when I'm clicking the mouse button. As you can see here, I have a further feedback here in the console that tells me, okay, mouse has been clicked. And if you are trying to press and drag like I was doing before, it will not allow you to just draw things, because in the draw cycle you don't actually have anything, so nothing is happening every frame. Only the only thing that are happening when the mouse is pressed in the moment that is being pressed. In the same way, you can also detect the release. Sometimes for some reason you might want to do so. Let's do something like maybe I can change the fill. So in this case, I have a fill that is 0 when the mouse is pressed. I have a fill that is maybe the color the background when it's released. Maybe I'm gonna draw a smaller ellipse. Let's see what happens. So if I press the button, I draw a circular, a black circle. If I release the button, I'm drawing another kind of circle that is just yeah, just like a circle with an outline. If I pull no stroke, so if I press, if I just click, it will just create a little circle inside a circle. If I press and hold and I move my mouse, I would just create, I guess, like a negative space. So it's like a little ring creator or whatnot. Yeah, so these are the functions. They are kind of like independent, so you can pretty much copy and paste this function here in your sketch, and it should work. All the code obviously can be transported, but just be careful that there has to be only one function called draw, one function called setup. Make sure that you are pasting your instructions inside the functions. You cannot really copy paste here, or maybe you can, but it might give you errors. So make sure that all of your code is syntactically okay, and then you can start to mash up the different examples. So check all the examples below because they can be useful building blocks for this assignment.